Okay, so when on Friday morning at Spirit Camp, um, I use 9-inch smudge sticks. This one is a little bit used, so I haven't got my new ones for this year yet. Um, to teach the kids how to smudge each other, because when their parents show up for the closing circle in the afternoon, the children will smudge their parents. So I do a little safety lesson with the kids and have them hold the smudge stick so that the hot part of it is facing to the side and not to their parent, because the tendency for the kids might be to flick the end of the sage, and obviously that would throw the spark onto their parents. So I have the kids just keep the hot part to the side, and I keep reinforcing staying up in the smoke. The other thing that is important to share with the kids is they are so excited to smudge their parents, and you can see the excitement on their faces. And what happens is they're like gazing into their parents' eyes, and you can see them asking, "Aren't you proud of me? I'm so happy I'm doing this." But they're leaving the smoke literally like in their parents' face as they're gazing into their eyes, and they're asphyxiating their parents. That has happened frequently. So I do have to remind the kids to keep the sage stick moving while they are smudging their parents, so that the smoke is constantly moving and not just holding in their faces. And then when it comes to, let me explain one more thing. I don't use the abalone shell at all because the kids are short, their parents are tall. And if you have hot ash in the abalone shell, I have sage in here that I don't want to spill out, and they're trying to reach up to reach the top of their parent's head, the hot ash could fall onto them. So I don't use the abalone shell at all. So once they've done crown to heart chakra, fingertip to fingertip, they go down to the feet. This is another safety thing. Some kids have actually taken the smudge stick and stuck it under their parent's foot. And one time a dad had his steel-toed boots on, and the child just jammed it right into the toe of his dad's boot. So again, making sure they understand the sage stick doesn't go anywhere near their parent. It's just the smoke that is doing the work. And then have them tell their parents to turn around, and they do the whole thing in the back, and then they tap their parent with the feather to let their parent know that they're done. So I just wanted to give you that lesson, because if we were in person, we would be smudging each other right now instead of me smudging this computer screen like I usually do. So I'm going to go ahead and light this now and start by just smudging the computer screen. It's not staying lit. I'm trying not to light it too much because my fan is blowing onto it, and I don't want to ignite it too far. Okay, now I'm going to smudge Annabelle. Oh, Annabelle and Jackie. Oh, Jackie and Kristen and Sage. Aho, Kristen and Sage, and myself. Okay. I'm gonna move this. Let's go ahead and do our invocation now. You can join me with your rattle or drums. And I am going to start by turning and facing the direction of east. Spirits of the east, element of air, we honor you. We invite you to join us today and ask that you love, guide, nurture, and protect us as we do our work in Spirit Camp. Spirits of the east, element of air, welcome. Spirits of the south, element of fire, we honor you. We invite you to join us today and ask that you love, guide, nurture, and protect us as we do our work in Spirit Camp. Spirits of the south, element of fire, welcome. Spirits of the west, element of water, we honor you. We invite you to join us today and ask that you love, guide, nurture, and protect us as we do our work in Spirit Camp. Spirits of the west, element of water, welcome. Spirits of the north, element of earth, we honor you. We invite you to join us today and ask that you love, guide, nurture, and protect us as we do our work in Spirit Camp. Spirits of the north, element of earth, welcome. Father Sky, we honor you. We invite you to join us today and ask that you love, guide, nurture, and protect us as we do our work in Spirit Camp. Father Sky, welcome. Mother Earth, we honor you. We invite you to join us today and ask that you love, guide, nurture, and protect us as we do our work in Spirit Camp. Mother Earth, welcome. Spirit within, we honor you. We invite you to join us today and ask that you love, guide, nurture, and protect us as we do our work in Spirit Camp. Spirit within, welcome. Beautiful, everybody. Let's have a seat. So we are in our opening circle now. I want you to imagine that we're outside, sitting on the lawn in the circle. Everybody had a chance to use the 9-inch smudge sticks. We've gone inside, we've done the invocation, and now let's do a check-in about your dreams. Does anybody have any dreams that you've had recently that you would like to share with us? No? Sage, do you? She's. Can you start again, Sage? You were on mute. I couldn't hear you.
I dream was dream about my nana, like to give flowers to my nana, and talk really loud. And playing with my nana to
Couldn't hear it.
He had a dream about Nana picking flowers, playing with Nana. She passed a few years ago. And it's her birthday tomorrow.
Oh, interesting.
No, Nana.
Beautiful, beautiful dream. Wow.
Okay. She woke up too.
That's cool. I used to have dreams like that as a child too. I would tell my parents, and she can't hear me, can she? Can she? Okay. Possessed. My parents were convinced. Yeah, so it was not the same as having a mom like you. So we're going to talk about the closing ceremony. In our opening ceremony today, all we're doing is talking about the closing ceremony. And we're going to start by just having conversations about some of the things we've discussed during the week this week. When you came into Spirit Camp at the beginning of the week, in our very first opening circle on Monday morning, I asked you, what do you think Spirit is? We're at Spirit Camp this week, and some of you had some questions about it, and some of you had some ideas what you thought Spirit was. What I'd like to know is, how has that changed for you now that you've gone through a whole week of Spirit Camp? Can you tell me what you think Spirit is to you? Would anybody be willing to volunteer? For real, you guys can. You don't have to, but you can. I'll just leave a moment of silence there.
What does spirit mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny because I was doing I had talked about this recently, but the difference between spirit and spirituality. But I think the more I kind of looked into it, so spirit for me is breath, and breath without breath, we don't have life and we can't live. And so it's almost like you need spirit in order to function in this world that we live in, to, yeah, be a part of this reality. I don't know. That's my thinking about spirit right now, where I'm at.
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else want to share? Okay. All right. So, oh, Sage, you want to share? What's spirit, Sage? Yeah, we can't hear him though.
Really close, baby, because the speakers.
The spirit is in yourself, and that's gone through you, shining a light in your body.
Thank you, Sage. That's
Shining light through your-
beautiful. Thank you. So, throughout the course of this week, we have participated in ceremony, and my goal is so that each of you, when you leave Spirit Camp, are able to create ceremony at your own home. You know how to call in the spirits. You know that's called our invocation. You know how to talk to the directions, the spirits of the directions, and the elements. So, what does ceremony mean to you now? What is ceremony? Anybody?
Ceremony to me is, I think, having a familiar ritual where, but you're doing it, you could either be doing it alone or you're doing it with a group, and you're doing it in a place of like groundedness and peace and with intention. Yeah, I don't know, that's ceremony to me.
Beautiful. Well, I love hearing what the kids have to say in this part of the opening circle, because it really gives you an idea of what's going to happen in the closing circle. And you want to make sure, if you ask a question of the children in the closing ceremony, that you know that at least there'll be a couple of kids that will be answering there. And last but not least, this afternoon you're going to be receiving a certificate for attending Spirit Camp. And on that certificate, it says, "Thank you for joining us on the path of the peaceful warrior." I'm just curious, do you have any idea what a peaceful warrior is? What would you think it is? And I found it important to ask this question at this point in time, because sometimes kids think a peaceful warrior is a samurai warrior. So I found it important to add it as a question when we're doing this conversational thing with the opening circle. Anybody have a definition of peaceful warrior that works for you?
I would say somebody that fights for peacefulness between all people and all beings.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And one of the things that we just did the day before is personal power. So I even pulled personal power in it and talk about the fact that for me, personal power is somebody who's really learned how to master their own personal power, and they take that out into the world to do good in the world with it. And I make sure that children understand that we're not talking about samurai warriors, so that in the closing ceremony, when I read that, what the certificates say, that the children have an understanding that this is all about peace and bringing their own personal power forward and doing service in the world with personal power of mastery of self, not others. So, all right, so friends, when parents arrive this afternoon, we're going to meet them at 2:00 at the East Gate. And there's a lot of things that have to happen between now and 2:00, including at lunchtime, I or my staff we're going to move this circle to a different location. I have never been able to do the closing ceremony on Friday in the same location as the opening circle because the sun has shifted. And usually our closing circle, which is only 5 minutes long, is in the hot sun in the afternoon. So I always make sure I know where the sun is going to be at between 2 and 3 o'clock. And I change the circle in the during when the kids are having lunch. And when the kids are done lunch, or kids, when you are done lunch, you were going to help me move the folding chairs out to form a semicircle around our sacred space so that parents will have chairs to sit in as they're watching our closing ceremony. So when the parents arrive and we meet at the East Gate, the chairs are already set up for them. There will be, I'm speaking for my camps only because my camps are bigger, because I've been doing them longer. So my camps, I have 2 or 3 9-inch sage smudge sticks and various assistants, because if I have 16 or 17 kids in a camp, it will take forever to go through all of those family members if we only have one sage stick. So I have multiple smudge sticks going at a time. The kids are invited one at a time to bring their family members up and go through the 3 lines that we have. So I make sure that the children understand that when the parents get there, we're going to go, as soon as everyone is there, we're going straight into smudging. And then once everyone has been smudged, the children will be invited to walk their parents to a chair and have them sit and get ready for the closing ceremony. And at that point in time, that is when children are asked to go back inside the classroom space with one of my assistants. I'm going to say my assistant's name is Jane. So Jane is going to take the kids inside, and on the inside of the classroom space, all of the masks, power animal masks and rattles have been preset on a table. They're ready to go. So she is helping the children put their masks on and get their rattles ready while I talk to parents. And I explain to the parents, I thank them for sending their kids to spirit camp, but I also, in kind of rapid fire way, go over all of the things that they'll see in their kids' spirit toolbox when they go get that at the end of the ceremony. And I, again, rapid fire go through bullet points of the coping mechanisms and the tools the children learned throughout the course of the week. And I do that in 5 minutes or less, because the kids are so excited in the classroom. They are like jumping out of their skin. So I don't want to like take away from their experience. So I keep it really short. And then I go to where the children are, which is where my drum is preset. And I do the march of the power animals with the children. We all march into the closing circle. And at that point in time, we don't sit at all. We just turn and face the direction of east, and I ask all of the parents to stand and join us. There are some pieces here that I need to share. I'm trying to think. I have left a basket of rattles to be passed among all of the parents, so they all have rattles to be able to join us in the invocation. So then once everybody has joined us in the invocation, I ask everyone to sit, and Jane goes and picks up all the rattles. There's also something else that Jane has to do, but we haven't got to that yet. So I'll address that in a minute. So when Jane is doing that, I'm inviting the children to keep their power animal mask on if they can, because it's made of felt and it's probably really hot outside. If they're comfortable leaving it on, I want them to go around one at a time and tell us all in their really loud outdoor voice, who is your power animal and what would you like to tell us about it? And the kids are having a lot of fun with this. And if they're too hot and they take their mask off before it gets to them, I ask them to just hold it up and show everybody who their power animal is. One thing I forgot to say, when we get to the East Gate, I invite the children to invoke the energy and the essence of their power animal and enter the circle. If they are a winged one, enter the circle using their wings. They can crawl and slither into the circle. If they are a creepy crawler, they can go on all fours if they're a creature that is on all fours. But that only happens from the East Gate forward, because I'll tell you, when we started it, the first time I did this and the kids were able to come from the classroom to the circle like that. It took forever for the creepy crawler slithery ones to get there. So we march to the east gate, and then children can enter sacred space, merged with the energy of their power animal if they choose to. So that now that they are telling us all about their power animal, as soon as they have shared that, if they choose to, they can again take their masks off because it's hot. Second time around the circle, I asked children what their favorite part of spirit camp was. And that is something that I've kind of alluded to the kids previous, that they're going to be asked that in the closing ceremony. So I asked them to be thinking about it. And even in this opening ceremony, I might go around and just ask kids what their favorite part of spirit camp has been. And then I'm going to turn my camera on here so you can see the rest. You have to pretend that the altar cloth isn't here. This is grass for right now. In the center of the circle, there's this bowl of water. And I just addressed this in the opening circle and just tell kids that this is going to play a part in our closing ceremony today. And that we are going to do an exercise later where children are going to learn how this ties into the closing ceremony. So this is just sitting in the very, very center of your circle on the grass. Then the children will be given their certificates, and that's when I'll ask the question about the peaceful warrior. And then they'll receive a gift from Spirit Camp. And I don't tell them what it's going to be, but there's a really special gift that I will share with you as we go through the day. And the children will be able to take that home with them, and they have a mission to do with that special gift. And then we go into what is known as the despacho ceremony. And this is a beautiful ceremony that was created by the Q'ero shamans in South America. And it is asked that everyone share this ceremony, not this particular one, share despacho ceremonies with people in their circles, their families, their friends, because the feeling behind this is that they see the difference in people who are harming Mother Earth versus those who are really loving and respecting her. And when we hit that 51st percentile, where more people are honoring and respecting her than not, we will really start shifting the consciousness of our planet. So this is a ceremony that I created specifically for Spirit Camp because it is very child-friendly and short. Some despacho ceremonies can last 2 hours. I mean, they can be very, very extensive. But the thing is, you get to create your own. This is my version for kids. So I will be going into full detail with it this afternoon, but I just want to show, for kids' sake, what it's going to look like. There's going to be my altar cloth on the ground right in front of me. And then at that point, I'm going to open up this big piece of paper. And this is going to act as like the envelope that holds all of our prayers. And we're going to use the center square here to build this despacho. And to start, I'm going to use a whole bunch of leaves. And during lunch today, one of the other things we need to accomplish during lunch is that each one of us are going to have 3 leaves. And one at a time, we're going to hold a leaf in our hands, think of something that we're grateful for, and blow that gratitude into the leaf. And then there will be an extra bowl beside the one that you're choosing your leaves out of. And this will be the one that will have all of the blessed leaves in. So in this afternoon, we're going to use all of these blessed leaves, and I'm going to make a heart shape in the center of the despacho paper to build this despacho on a foundation of love. And then I'm going to add flowers to it that represent the earth. I'm going to add other flowers to it that represent the cosmos. And then we build from there. And I just show this basket that has all kinds of things that have been preset. For instance, Swedish fish to represent the fish on the planet, gummy worms to represent the creepy crawlers. I told you it's very kid friendly. Hershey's Kisses because spirits love chocolate, and represents some love. Animal crackers for the animal kingdom. So there's all kinds of things that kids will come up, take a cup. I'll tell them what's in the cup so that everybody can hear and what it symbolizes. So that takes only about 10 minutes to do. And then when the despacho has been completely built up, I will fold it and make a gift out of it, tie it with a ribbon. This is the gift to Mother Earth. And then I'll invite everyone here, including all the family and friends, to stand and face the 7 directions with me. We'll just offer this up to the 7 directions. And then I will ask if there's any family present that would like to take that home with them and do a fire ceremony with it. The quickest way to release these blessings and gratitude from Mother Earth is to do it in a fire ceremony. A slower way is to bury it in the ground, but I've got all kinds of stuff in here that I wouldn't feel good about burying. So I just asked people if there's somebody who would be willing to take it home and burn it. And when it is burned, you just put it on the hot flames. Create sacred space first, call on the spirits of the directions, do your invocation, get a nice hot fire going. When the fire is nice and hot, you just place it on top of the flames. Everybody turns their backs to the fire so the spirits can consume the despacho in private, and then it takes about 10 minutes. I just turn around after 10 minutes, and usually just the very top layer of paper hasn't gone into the fire, so I just push that down, and then the ceremony is over. I just thank the spirits for being there with us, and it's the end. So when we do finish the despacho ceremony in the afternoon, I tell the children that now is the time for them to take their certificates, their mask, their rattles, and their gift from Spirit Camp and go give it to their parents. And then parents can come back with the children, and we're going to make our big circle to sing Mother, I Feel You as a group. And usually that group is bigger than our 4 poles, which are set in the ground. So I just ask the parents to be aware as we're going in and out, going hey-ya, 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 ho, walking to the center of the circle, and then walking back out again, that we're mindful of where the poles are, and we just lift our arms up over the poles. And that's it. And then we go back to our classroom. So there's a lot of information for the kids to learn, but I really feel like if we just like talk them through what's going to happen this afternoon, they're so excited by the time their parents come. If we tried to do this when they're all excited, they're like not going to be taking it all in, and it goes really smoothly and seamlessly this way. So then we just leave the circle and go back into the classroom space. Now, I think we'll just dive into the first module because it's really short and sweet for us, as because I'm going to talk you through it. And then we'll take our break. And then before we break for lunch, I think we should go back and do like everything that has to get done, like for the preparation, because like all of this takes a whole bunch of time to get prepped in the morning. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that Friday morning is a really super busy time at Spirit Camp before the kids get there. Okay, so let's move into the very first module, which is the breathing books. I'm going to shut that camera off that's on the altar because we don't really need it right now. Okay, So, do you have your breathing books out with you by any chance? From your, whoops, hang on, I'm going into a screen share here, so I just lost you on Zoom. I didn't even see if anybody shook your heads, but I'm going to screen share from Google Drive. Okay, when you go into day 5 in the curriculum here, you'll see there's a folder for breathing books. When you open the breathing books, there's a teacher's manual, which I use when I'm doing like professional development classes for teachers. So what I have here is pictures of a child who is doing the breathing technique, a square, which basically just says if it's a calming or energizing breath, and then the steps on how to do that. So the teacher's manual is something that I never use at Spirit Camp. I just give it to, if I were doing a parent workshop, I would give this to the parents. This coloring book version here is the one that I use for preschools. I don't use this one at Spirit Camp either, but if you're doing a mindfulness class with preschoolers, they can't draw pictures of how to do flying bird breath, at least in such a way that they would be able to remember how to do it when they look at their picture. So this is the same child, the photograph of that child, and we turned it into a coloring page. So preschoolers can color the picture of flying bird breath, and then when they take their little book home, their parents can see how to do the breathing technique. The third book is the one that I use at Spirit Camp, and this is the one where the kids have to draw a picture of how to do the flying bird breath so they can remember it when they go home. So what I want to do with you guys is just go through the flying bird breath, and then I taught this many ways over the last 10 years, and my secret to success for this particular module is to have everybody go through it at the same time. So that's how I'm going to teach it with you and tell you why it works really well for me as a teacher to maintain calm and consistency with the students in the classroom. So if I can have you guys just stand up with me. Come on, Sage, you're doing this with us. Okay, so flying bird breath is when you stand with your feet like in mountain pose. Here, I'm going to stop share for a second. You're standing like in a yoga mountain pose with your feet under your hips. Your palms, you can't see my palms. My palms are facing out, down by my sides. So what you're going to do is breathe in as your arms slowly come up. And then I just bring them to shoulders, like above my shoulders. You can touch them, but then you turn the palms and slowly breathe out as the palms are facing down and you're coming back down again. So what I do is I have the kids imagine that they're an eagle. As they breathe in, they're an eagle soaring through the sky, breathing in slowly, and then they turn their palms and then they exhale, and I want them to feel the wind blowing through the feathers on their wings. So I talk them through the experience of being the eagle as they're breathing in and breathing out, doing the flying bird breath. If you're a teacher, this changes the energy in your classroom with just 3 breaths. Everything just goes. So if I have a bunch of kids that have been outside playing and I want to transition into something where they have to focus, this technique is golden for that. All right, so let me share again and go into the next one. Oh, we're going to stay standing, you guys. I'm going to take you to expanding ball breath. Actually, I guess we don't have to stay standing for this one. But expanding ball breath is where it's also known as balloon breath. You pretend that you're holding a ball and it expands when you inhale. So inhale and exhale. And again, inhale and exhale. Now, if you remember, in the teacher's version of this book, let me just show you really quickly, there's actually a Hoberman sphere This tool is called a Hoberman sphere. If you end up working with younger children, this is the tool to take because the kids can physically move the ball as they're learning how to breathe in and out, making those hand gestures. For older kids, I take the ball away and we just do the hand gestures. Okay, then we go to counting breath. Counting breath is really simple. They count, breathing in, they count up to 5. Breathing out, they count down from 5. So breathing in, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing out, they can either count backwards or count to 5 again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I have them do 3 or 4 counting breaths while we're together. And then peace breath. I have stories with some of these that are just beautiful. I'll share them with you in a few minutes. Peace breath is when you imagine that your hands are held like in a bowl, and you imagine you're holding Mother Earth in the palms of your hands. And there's a picture in the teacher's version of a child holding a globe in her hands. So when the children breathe in, they fill up their heart chakra with love. And when they exhale, they whisper the word peace, and they send peace to Mother Earth. So let's go ahead and breathe in and exhale, whispering peace. And the second time we do that, I have the child imagine or think of someone that they've had a recent conflict with, an argument. It could be just a sibling they argued with over the cereal in the morning. And then to place that person in the palms of their hands, breathe in peace, fill up their heart with love, and as they exhale, send peace to that person and that situation in which they were just involved in that conflict. Next is flower and candle breath. For flower and candle breath, you hold one hand like a fist, one hand like a candle. This is your flower. This is your candle. The candle is lit. It has a flame on top, and you do not want to blow the flame out. So what you're going to do is breathe in and smell the flower and gently blow on the flame and don't let it go out. So the first time I'm just instructing them to do it. The second time I'm having them imagine their favorite flower. And what color is their candle? And then the kids will want to share what their favorite flower was and what it smelled like. And then we go into tracing your hand. This is right out of a mindfulness program. Have the kids have their palms facing you. And then put their index finger at the base of their thumb. And then you really control the speed of this with what the age of your kids are. You breathe in as you bring your finger up to the top of your thumb. You exhale as it comes back down, and you inhale as it goes up, and exhale as it comes back down. Now, if you have older kids, turn this even more into a mindfulness experience by have them pay attention to what it feels like to have their index finger tracing over their other fingers. Is it tickling? Can they feel a little callus on the finger that they write with? Are they feeling like any little hangnails on their fingers? Is there a temperature difference? So depending on the age of the kids, it can just be about the breath going up and down, or you can go into a sensory experience where they're completely focused on the sensation that's happening as they're doing the breath work. So for older kids, I would go back to the other side. If I've got a lot of young kids in spirit camp, I only take it one way. Next is blow it away. This is one where you hold your hands like a bowl again, and you put your worries in the bowl. Anything that's upsetting you goes into the bowl. You breathe in, and when you exhale, you gently blow it out into the universe as if it's a feather. You just want to blow really gently like you did on the candle, and blow it away. So I have the kids try that a couple of times, thinking of something that is actually bothering them. Bunny breath is an energizing breath. The last two breaths in the book are energizing. So bunny breath is when the kids stand with their feet together and they make their little bunny hands. And I don't know if you can see me very well here. You wiggle your nose as you're counting to 5 quickly. So it's like 5 little rapid inhales and then to exhale. So the kids, I even let them bounce like a bunny as they're breathing in. And then you can see the energy like coming back into the kids. I don't ever use bunny breath, but they love it. Power breath is the one I use when I need to energize kids. After lunch, sometimes if kids get sleepy, not very often at spirit camp, however, in a classroom setting more so. But also I use this with adults all the time. So you've got your palm chakras in the palms of your hands. You're going to connect to the solar power of the sun. Bring that solar power into your solar plexus. Okay, so breathing in, pull it in. And I have the kids do this 5 times. And if I'm doing a program or workshop with adults, and I happen to get the adults right after lunch when everything is a little bit sluggish, I do this before we even sit down and start the afternoon program. It's such a great breathing technique for kids to do. Okay, that's number 10. So I'm gonna sit here and go back really quickly through these and share some information about them. So the way I have found that works best for me, and that's all I can do is share with you what's working for me, is I have the kids standing up with me and we're doing all 10 breathing techniques at the same time. Then we sit down to do the coloring books. I mean, the picture, the activity books. I set my phone timer for 3 minutes for each page. And the reason I'm doing that is because when I first started doing this, kids could color as they wanted to. There were some kids who didn't have any interest in it. So they would just make like a mark on each page and be done. And then they would go and start playing and creating chaos somewhere. So by telling kids we're going to spend 3 minutes on each page, you are setting the tone for maintaining calm and peace in your classroom. So I tell the kids, remember the flying bird breath? It's when we were pretending we were eagles. Draw a picture that's going to help you remember what that is when you get home. So they're drawing their picture. If they finish early, I tell them to go start coloring the cover of the book, or they can draw a picture on the back page of the book. But they can't turn the page until the timer goes off and we all turn the page together. And then we talk about expanding ball breath. What's going to help them remember how to do expanding ball breath. The other thing that's going on during the 3 minutes that each child is drawing their picture is I'm asking them about situations in their life that cause them anxiety, stress, fear. And we start matching up the breathing technique with situations, real life situations for each child, so that the next time they're in a doctor's office and they're waiting because they're going to get a shot and they're really freaked out about the shot, they have a breathing technique that they learned at Spirit Camp that they can pull from out of their spirit toolbox because we've already preset it for them. We've set them up for success before they even leave camp, by having them choose which of these breaths would work in different situations. So counting breath, this is one that a child brought up. If he was at school and his teacher said, pop quiz, he would freak out. So what he could do is have his hands just on his thighs at his desk and be counting like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on his thigh, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as he's exhaling. Nobody is knowing that he is doing breathing techniques to help himself calm himself and get centered before he takes the test, but he is actually utilizing one of the tools from Spirit Camp. So this is the pre-exam breath that a couple of kids have used at Spirit Camp. Peace breath. Okay, this is a beautiful example of how children take the curriculum we're giving them and they integrate it into their lives in really clever ways. There was a child at Spirit Camp who was getting in trouble in his classroom because he and another child would be sticking their tongues out at each other and this student was the one who kept getting caught, so he would get sent out into the hall. He called me one day in the fall and said, if I get sent out in the hall again, could I use peace breath like you taught us to do and put, he named the child's name, so and so, in the bowl in my hands, and then do peace breath and send him peace? Do you think that would help our situation? And I thought, holy cow, this child is like, that's the solution for world peace right there. And he came up with it by himself when he realized there was a child at school he was constantly having conflicts with, and he discovered that peace breath might bring peace into that situation with that child. This child was like 9 years old, so I just give these kids so much credit for tapping into the tools we've given them to be able to use them once they leave camp. Flower and candle breath. If any of you guys have kids who are young or you work with kids who are young, this is the meltdown. This is the meltdown breath that will help kids settle down the fastest. When I am at the preschool, in the preschool classrooms at the Montessori school, if there's a child who just keeps melting down, is having a horrible day, nothing can make the child happy, I'll just go out in the hall, sit with the child, and we'll do flower and candle breath. And like when kids have just been crying really hard and they're like, this breath calms them down so fast. It gets them into the flower mode, and they're smelling their favorite flowers. We're having a little conversation quietly about the flower and the color of the candle. This breath is perfect. And there was a child once who I did this breath with. The teacher just said, can you go out in the hallway and work some magic with this child? Because she is just not having any of this today. So I went into the hallway with that child, and we did this. And she ended up going home that night and continued to have meltdowns that night. But she used flower and candle breath when she was at home. And her mom sent her to school the next day. I was still subbing in that classroom that day. And she came up to me and said, my mom said to say thank you to you for teaching me flower and candle breath, because now I know what to do when I cry a lot. And last night I cried a lot, and we were using flower and candle breath at my house. So it's just like so beautiful to me that kids take this stuff so seriously, and it's storing in their heads for later use. Tracing your hand is one. Usually, typically older kids only do this one. Blow it away is another one I use with young kids. One teacher told me that she had a child who would come to her cubby in the morning from drop off, and she was already a mess. Whatever was going on in that kid's life at home, she was coming to school carrying so much anxiety before she had even taken her coat off. So this teacher would stay at the cubby with her and do blow it away. Whatever happened that morning, she would blow it away. And by the time she got to circle, they were ready to start fresh. And that's a really good one to use with little ones. I never use this for energizing kids, but they love it. And then power breath. I've already told you how I use that. So I want to share with you a really quick instance of when a child was with me once in a car. He was a spirit camper. I was friends with his family. I was taking him to a matinee, and we got stuck in traffic. And he was a child that didn't like to be late for anything. And all we were going to be late for is the trailers at the beginning of the movie. But I could feel his anxiety in the car. And all of a sudden I hear this little voice say, Ava, I think we should do one of the breathing techniques from Spirit Camp. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm sitting there worrying about how anxious this kid is. And he's already thinking about what he can do to move forward and use one of his techniques from Spirit Camp to be able to calm himself down. I'm seeing a couple of comments in the chat, but I can't see them all open. Oh, Annabelle, you asked about the kid with the peace breath. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, that was right.
Yes, that ended up working for him. And I have other stories that I want to share later too, where kids could actually see the results of some of the work that they were doing.
That was interesting to me. Well, because I thought when you said that, I wanted to suggest it to my stepson, who's had some difficulties at school with a kid who is bullying him. But but maybe, and he's very spiritually inclined, like that's the one connection that, well, one of many connections that him and I have. And so I might suggest it to him and see if it resonates.
Mhm. So this is also one of the books that, because this is going to be in the Kids Spirit Toolbox. It's
Yeah.
completely done. Every page has been drawn on, and the directions for the parents are right underneath the kids' drawing. So I always tell parents who are looking for tools for their child because their child is really anxious or whatever the case may be, that their child has that breathing book in their spirit toolbox. And we have taken situations from their life that may cause them anxiety, and we have matched up tools for them to use in those situations. So parents love this because it's something that's really easy that they can take and have the child show them, which one did you pick when we're going to the doctor's next week and you're going to get your booster shot, or when you have to dive off the diving board next week at swimming lessons, what technique, which breathing technique do you think you'd like to use when you're standing at the diving board and you're really nervous? Like, so anyway, it's a great book for parents to have. And I also teach this as a professional development class for teachers, because this is really good for teachers to have as tools in their classroom. They could even do like one breathing technique a week, and after 10 weeks, the kids get their book stapled together and they get to take it home. It can, I mean, it's a really good tool for adults to have with kids. Okay, so let me see here. Let's take our break now for 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and we're going to do one of the other modules. We're going to do Moody Cow. So here's what I want you to make sure you have when you come back. I have clear glue, glitter, my jar, and this is not the cut paper plate, but you don't have to have this part. I use it for Spirit Camp though. That little inside of the dream catcher that I said save because you're going to use it for all the crafts the rest of the week, we use it for this as well. So come back with your jar full of water up to about 1/2 inch from the top, and these, and we'll make jars when we get back. Okay, so 5 minutes, everybody. I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, so, well, Moody Cow was red, but Moody Cow exists on my YouTube channel, which you guys all have access to. So you can read Moody Cow over there if you want to. And then we're making the meditation jars now. So water up to 1/2 inch to the top. Cut the glitter on the diagonal. Use our little dream catcher plates here, the inside of the dream catcher. And then count to 5 while the kids are pouring the glue in, and then shake it up and see how the glitter looks as it's going down. I like to have it go either 30 seconds, anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, because I sell these. So I actually like shake 6 of them up and I kind of watch them all together and see if I need to add a little more glue to any of them before I hot glue the lids to the bottles, so that if any younger siblings see this, when the kids take them home, they are safe and the kids can't get into them. So I'm going to share.
I ask a question, Ava?
Yeah.
I got glue that dries clear, but it's white. Will that work or not?
Don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When people use the regular Elmer's glue, it just makes the water cloudy.
Okay, I'm not going to use it then.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wait. You can do it after.
I'll do it tonight.
Yep. Okay. So there's a couple of things that happen with the glitter. One is that when you first do this, there's a bunch of foam at the top. You can see a little bit of foam there, not a ton. Let me see what happens with this one. Yeah, you can see more foam on the top of this one. That's totally okay. That's going to happen every single time the kids shake their jars. So you have to kind of normalize that for the kids, because they'll freak out and want to know how to get rid of the foam. The other thing is there can be clumps of glitter that just rise to the top and they just stick at the top. They can be like as big as the fingernail on my finger here. So what I do in that case, here's what I've discovered. If you stick something in like a skewer to try to break up the glitter balls that are in there, all the glitter, because the glue is in there, it's all going to stick to whatever you're putting in there, and you're going to lose a bunch of the glitter to whatever your instrument is. So I just use my finger now. I just stick one of my fingers in there, and here, I'll use this one, and I'll show you exactly what I do. I stick my finger in and I just push the bunch of glitter like this against the side of the jar, and it breaks it up. And then when the bunches of glitter have been broken up, I just wipe my hand off with a paper towel. My finger collects much, much, much less of the glitter than anything that you would stick in the jar to break up the balls. So that's a good teacher note for you to have. Sometimes the kids haven't put quite enough glitter in, and the glitter falls really quickly to the bottom of the jar. So I just have them take the lid off, and the second time they pour, I have them count to 3, not 5. I mean, I just make this stuff up, but you'll get the rhythm of it and the feel of it once you've taught it a couple of times. And then they put the cover on, and then by the second time, if somebody has had to do it a second time, they've really got the magic speed down. So that's it. And then we hot glue them. Okay, here's the teacher trick for hot gluing. The kids have been shaking them. The inside of the lid is wet. I always have paper towels at the glue gun station so I can wipe the inside of the lid. Then put the glue on the inside of the lid. Now I'll tell you, one of my assistants one year thought that glue was going to make it waterproof. So she just put the lids on and gave them to the kids. And then the kids, the water was just leaking right out of them because she didn't turn them tight. So we had to keep those jars that night and pry them off, dig all the hot glue out of the lids, and then redo everything. It's a lot of work. So make sure, even though you're using hot glue on the lid, you're turning really tight to tighten them, and then they'll be totally fine for the kids to take home. I have the kids put them, because they each have their own personal space on the tables that we've set up for them. I just have them put them in their personal space and take them home. Well, this is on Friday, but this is a plug and play. You can use this any point in time you need to fill in with something. So if I, for instance, used this at the end of shamanic journeying day, because it's pouring rain out, we can't do that outside module that I put on that day. Just, you could take this one and plop this one in there if you needed to. But I always make sure kids take it home if it's not on Friday, if it's one of the other days, so it doesn't get in the way and fall off the table, because they have so much stuff there. At the school, when I do the mindfulness jars, the teachers ask me to write all the kids' names with a Sharpie on the lid. So I do that there. And you could do that at Spirit Camp, but the kids have their own little spaces already marked out for them. Okay, any questions on this one? No? This is a really, really good module if any of you want to start selling products. This book sells for $16.95. Of course, I get it for wholesale, but I sell these for $8 a piece. If people buy them together, they get them for $3 less, $21.95. When I do fairs and festivals, and I have these on my table as a grouping, these fly off my table. I might sell 8 of these pairs in one day. So if you're somebody who wants to get into selling products, if you want to get your wholesale license stuff, that this is a huge win. And I probably, even without the book, will sell 10 or 15 of these, like at a weekend event. Big sellers. Okay, that's it for that. What have we got for time? Okay, so let's do one more. Do you guys have that small stone that I told you to bring to class with you? This is the tiny little stone that we're going to put. Let me get rid of all this stuff here, because I have lots of props today. I'm going to put this up here. Hang on, let me put these back. Okay, so that little stone is going to provide a beautiful service for us. So this is a shamanic exercise where we are going to help the children focus on a yucky feeling that they get in their solar plexus. And I don't want to go deep with this at all. We are not wanting to tap into any trauma that any kids may have had. So I kind of set the intention by saying, you know, you might have just argued with your sibling this morning over the box of cereal or something. So just go to a time when, you know, you just had that yucky feeling because something wasn't going your way. We're going to focus on that for a minute. So I have the kids actually get their towels and their masks so that I am setting it up for them so that they are laying on their towels, they've got their mask on, and then their rock is in their hand. Now, if you're at a location where there's woods, that you know, where you can go out and have the kids find their own stone, that's a great exercise for the kids to do when you're at free play in the morning. Have them take their pouches, sprinkle some birdseed when they find a stone that they can bring in, but it has to be a small stone like the size of, you know, the top of their thumb or something, because this is what's going to get added to the bowl of water in the ceremony. So so here we go. The kids are on their towels. So I'm going to have you hold your stones. I'm just going to talk you through this really super short little exercise to get rid of the yuckies. Right. So go ahead and close your eyes as you are ready to do so. And just think of a situation which you were experienced a knot or a yucky feeling in your solar plexus. And maybe you just had an argument with a sibling this morning. Allow that feeling in your solar plexus to build up energy. And imagine that feeling spinning in a clockwise direction. Remember, our chakras spin in a clockwise direction. Now, I want you to imagine it spinning quicker, faster, like a washing machine that's on the spin cycle. You know how a washing machine builds up speed as it goes faster and faster and faster. So that's what's going to happen with this yucky feeling in your solar plexus. And then that spinning bundle of energy starts moving up your body. It leaves your solar plexus and it starts rising up. And it goes past your heart chakra and it keeps rising up in your body. And now it's going up into your throat, past your throat chakra. And now it comes up into your mouth. And I want you to take that yucky feeling that just came into your mouth and blow it into the stone. Okay. At this point in time, my assistant, let's say Jane, is going to go around and take each stone and write the child's initials on it with a Sharpie. In the previous years, when I first started doing this, I would ask children to go put it in their spirit toolbox so they would have it ready for the closing ceremony. I can't tell you how many stones have been lost between doing that on their mat and going to their spirit toolbox. So now we don't do that anymore because it makes for tears and unhappy children during the closing ceremony when they have just realized they lost their stone. So now my assistant gathers all of the stones and puts them in a little bowl. And then Jane's job in the closing ceremony is to hand out the stones to all the children that they belong to prior to putting them in the bowl. Okay, so let's see, where do I want to go with you now? Because we still have time to go over a few things. I'd like you to actually take your manuals now. We're going to go through everything that has to get done in terms of presets before the kids even come to spirit camp. And then we're going to talk about all the stuff that happens during lunch, because we're going to break for lunch as soon as we finish this. So if we were actually at a spirit camp, we would be very busy for the next hour. Okay, so open to day 5, and you'll see the supplies to purchase for day 5. I'm telling you guys, I should have brought my little box. My entire despacho stuff all travels with me in a very small shoebox. And then, except for the basket, I mean, the basket is a separate entity all by itself, but all these little cups, the paper, the play money, all the stuff in here, except for the rainbow yarn, I think everything came from the dollar store. So you can, over time, make a few trips into the dollar store and just pick up pieces that you're going to be needing to do despacho ceremonies in the future. But I have the list here of all of the things I use in the Spirit Camp despacho and what they mean. And then you also need to make sure that Thursday night you've printed out all of the graduation certificates for the kids, and you have written their names on all of the certificates. All right, so let's go to the presets. I arrive an hour and a half early on the last day because there's so much that has to get done. One of the things that we haven't talked about much is the leaves. There need to be 3 leaves for every person who is attending that ceremony. That includes all the family and friends. So just in casual conversation in that morning, as we're kind of doing stuff, I'm asking kids, oh, how many kids are coming from your family? And I'm getting a feel, or I've asked that on Thursday. I've got a really good feel by Friday morning how many leaves I need to cut. So there is, see in the middle of page 2 there's the formula for how we figure this out. If there's 10 children in camp plus 2 staff, that's 12 people. Then each child, 10 children in camp, each will bring 2 people. Some might bring 3, some might bring 1, but plan on 2 people per child. That's another 20 people. So the 12 people from camp, the 20 people that are coming to support the kids is 32 people total, times 3 leaves each. That's 96 leaves. So before the kids ever get there, I take my birdseed pouch. I actually have my assistant do this part because I'm setting up so many other things, but I have them take their birdseed pouch out to the property and just connect with the spirits of the trees or the bushes on the property, and ask if there is one of those trees who would be willing to allow us to harvest some of the leaves for our sacred ceremony in the afternoon. And then once the yes has been given, I've never heard a no come back from anyone, then we harvest all the leaves and take them inside in a basket. And gosh, I have another basket on my table. I have 2 baskets at Spirit Camp, the plain leaves that nobody has prayed over or blessed yet. And then the second basket is ones that we have completed and blessed. So during lunch, as the kids are blowing their gratitude into their 3 leaves, they add them into the second basket. Okay, this part gets a little confusing. Remember the basket of rattles I showed you earlier? That will be near the parents' chairs in the afternoon ceremony. That's all my extra rattles here. The basket of leaves that have not been prayed over yet is on the other side. So say you've got this circle of chairs, this semicircle of chairs. On one end is the basket, on the other end is the leaves. After I've told the parents all of the beautiful things their kids have learned in Spirit Camp and what's in their spirit toolbox, I say, there's a basket on one end of the row of chairs there. Would you take that, pass that around, take a rattle, and keep the basket going around, and you can leave it at that end. There's another basket at that end that has leaves in it. Everybody please take 3 leaves, keep passing the basket around, and the basket can be left on that end of the chairs. And then I tell them what to do with the 3 leaves. And please hold them until I come out with the children, and Jane, my assistant, will pick up the leaves from you as soon as we've done the invocation. So there's a lot of different pieces that we're orchestrating and combining to make this clothing ceremony work really beautifully. So then the kids will get a piece of rose quartz, and there's a whole story behind that, which you'll hear in the closing ceremony we do later today. You have to have your glass bowl ready to go. And the baskets, so you've got 2 baskets for leaves, 2 baskets for white flower petals and red flower petals. Those are the colors that I always use to represent Earth and the cosmos. And because, I mean, if you have flowers on your own property, I would say go ahead and use those, but I'm always at different property. So I go to Hannaford the night before on Thursday night, and I purchase the little bouquets of the red and white carnations. And then these pieces of gift wrap paper, that I got at the dollar store. They have the little lines, the little squares on the inside. I don't know if you can see them, not very well. But they have the little cut lines at 1-inch intervals. This paper is 30 inches wide, so I cut 30 inches long, and then I fold it in 3 one way, turn it and fold it in 3 the other way, so that it's 9 squares when I open it all up, and we're just using the inside square. It looks like a tic-tac-toe thing, large size tic-tac-toe. So that has to be set and ready to go. And just as an FYI, I have 6 of them, 6 despachos that I'm going to be doing in the next 6 weeks. So I have all of my paper already pre-cut. And then these little cups here are all from the dollar store. And I take all of the ingredients for the despacho that's in my shoebox, and I just plop them all in here and get them ready to go. So there's a lot of, as you can see, a lot of setup for that closing ceremony. Let me see what else we have here. So if you don't have a basket of rattles, I would suggest that you can just use egg rattles. I mean, just put, you don't have to make them fancy, just put some beans in the Easter eggs and have people use those. But I mean, I like having rattles to help people feel like they're participating in the ceremony. Let's see. There's one other aspect that I want to share with you about this. I mentioned that Jane would pick up the rattles when we come back, but I want to tell you like how important it is that Jane does that, because as soon as you finish the invocation and everyone sits down, the little kids are going to be answering questions, and we're outside, we're in a circle, their parents might be behind them. We don't know where anybody's going to be sitting. So we need to be able to hear the kids. That's where the focus needs to be. But if the parents bring little siblings with them and those rattles aren't picked up, you're not going to be able to hear anything, because there are kids that are going to be rattling in the chairs and being really distracting. And so now, because I have lived through that, as soon as we do the invocation, Jane doesn't sit down with me. Like the east gate is always to my left shoulder, and she sits on the other side of the east gate. But as soon as I sit down with the kids, she goes to pick up the basket, the empty basket, to get the rattles, and then she comes back the other way with the basket that's going to put the blessed leaves in it. So she's going 2 different ways to pick up the stuff, and then she comes back and sits down with me, and she has the little bowl with the stones in it, the little yucky stones that the kids just did with their initials on it. She can pass those out while I'm talking to kids. So Jane's got a really busy job. You really need support when you're doing the despacho ceremony. I don't know how you could do it by yourself. There's a lot there. So when I go down to the opening circle, I have all of the despacho stuff here. I might carry it like this. I would carry the water separately, with the certificates on top of the paper, because they get their certificates first. The bag that has the rose quartz in it, I just kind of keep everything together and take it all down to the closing circle in the afternoon, right before the parents get there. So we haven't got to that part of what's going on in the classroom. We'll do that as soon as we get back from lunch. The other thing that you can do at lunch or the night before, is, I'm gonna show you in my, you don't have this in your manual. I think I left you some options in Google Drive, but I will look for that and tell you in a minute. So because there are a lot of plug and play modules, I make a list the night before I have the closing circle that has all of the stuff that the kids learned when they were in Spirit Camp, because they're one of their afternoon projects. So we're going to make a little book for them that has all of their tools in it. This is as much for the parents as it is for the kids. But I didn't put this in your book because there's so many plug and play modules. Like some teachers never teach the dream catcher part. Some teachers never teach the aromatherapy part. So I didn't want to like make it look like you should be teaching these, but you're not. So everybody just kind of makes a list for your talking points to share with the parents in the closing circle for stuff that you covered with the kids. All right, so I guess that's it for that. So that's like everything that happens in the morning before the kids get there. During lunch, we're going to break in just a second and have ours, but during lunch, the kids would be asked to get 3 leaves, pray, bless them, put them over here in the other basket. Then when they finish lunch, they're asked to take folding chairs for however many people are coming from their family, even if they just have to take them one at a time, take folding chairs out. I'm moving the circle at that point in time. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening during that lunch hour. So kids actually don't get free play, but they're getting plenty of exercise because they're hauling chairs back and forth and helping us get set up. So yeah, a lot of activity. Any questions about any of that? No? Okay. All right.
Actually, I have a question. So with the chairs,
Yeah.
if the venue or doesn't have chairs, you're going to have to bring your own, I would take it.
I've never had that experience yet, and I've
Okay.
rented tons and tons of places. So I would ask parents to bring their own lawn chairs.
Their own
Yes.
one chair. Okay, good idea.
And then prior to us smudging, having the children smudge the family members, I would be kind of directing how the chairs should be set up, like in a half circle around our circle. Yeah, but I've never had to do that. So,
Okay.
yeah, but that is a great question. Thank you for that. Any other questions? No? Okay, so let us break for lunch now and come back in an hour and we'll finish up all of the afternoon stuff. Did we do last time we gathered, I didn't look at my notes. Did we do inner critic and inner champion the last time? We did? Okay, because I always want to make sure I get that in. All right, good. I think that answers my question. All right. Then let's take a break and I will see you back here in an hour, about 1:55. Okay? Bye for now, everyone.